There were entire buildings completely empty, entire streets abandoned. Wait a second, this is such a cool community. This is something which I haven't seen for a long time. Like goosebumps on my skin. These are people I really want to hang out with. Right now, our cities are absolutely distressed. In 6 months, we were able to have 450 paying citizens. This is like the first time I'm publicly announcing it. We have now taken ownership of the hotel in San Francisco.
Hi everyone, thank you for being here for ARC Firesides on Network and City States. I'm very, very glad to be here with Jakob from Frontier Tower. How are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me.
No, I'm glad you're here again. I feel like I'm going to be able to extract an update from you because we've not talked enough recently. So I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah.
But again, why don't we start with you? Where are you from?
Where I'm from?
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in Germany. Western Germany. Then I moved to Hamburg and then to Berlin. And so I actually consider myself a Berliner.
Okay.
So lived there for, I think, over 10 years. But recently, I'm in San Francisco. I'm in Hong Kong a little bit as well. So I'm a citizen of the world.
Do you also have a story like that about being around communism in Berlin? Or I think we're probably a little bit younger, aren't we, than that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually born in 87, and this was in Poland. So I was born there. My parents are Polish, and they actually escaped communism in 88, actually, which was 1 year before the Berlin Wall fell, or the Iron Curtain. And so this is basically my story with communism. So my parents did all of this work, prepared for a year to actually make the move, and then 1 year later, it was opened up anyways.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, another thing which I came in touch with, like not directly, but when I moved to Berlin, Berlin was something a city which I haven't seen before, right? Like it was really shaped by the 1990s, like that. All of these buildings were empty, and a lot of hacker houses were formed in this time. A lot of clubs, a lot of artists came and were able to capture this empty real estate. And this was something which was really an important part of my life when I moved to Berlin, and then was able to reap the fruits of the people who built it up before me.
Very interesting. I mean, so what were you doing in Berlin? Were you working there? Did you go to school there? What were you up to?
Yeah, I was studying actually industrial engineering and management. Did my master's at the Technical University. But there, while doing my master's, I also basically built up my first community. And with my co-founder, we went and saw like an opportunity where in Leipzig, which is just like 1 hour south of Berlin, there were entire buildings completely empty, entire streets abandoned, and the real estate owners just closed it up. They didn't know what to do with it. And we saw it and said like, hey, wait a second, why are they closing up all of these buildings? It just doesn't make sense. Right? There's so much demand for like having creative spaces. So this is where we like started to actually fundraise and buy one of these buildings and opening it up.
When was this?
This was in 2012, 2013.
Okay, amazing, right? So you've been doing this for a little while, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, how did that go? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was a super interesting experience. Like, I couldn't imagine like a better 20s, to be honest, right? Like we bought this building for super cheap. We were basically the owners. We invited all of our friends to co-live with us. We built a club in the basement, a bar in the first floor, a hostel in the second, and 35 people living above that. And we did this for 1.5 years. This is also where we got experienced in real estate, and also did some other real estate projects on the side. But this was something which was really an important part of like to learn about community building, because we learned very fast that we wouldn't want to be like the community leads in Leipzig in this 35 hacker house, you can call it, forever. So what we've done is we've implemented like self-governing structures to be able to give it to the community for them to self-organize without us being there to lead it all the time. And the interesting part of that is that this community, which we formed in 2013, still exists until this very day. And actually, in the entire 12 years where this community has been existed, they only reached out once to us to actually help with a situation which they couldn't solve on their own. And so this is something which I'm really proud of, that we've created something which had like lasting impact on the community itself, but also on the city, because they've been very active in the city and partaking in the culture which is formed there.
So again, so you still own that. That just like that still works and runs. What was the one thing that they needed help with?
So this is somewhere where a group of unfriendly people moved in. They selected some people, and they were getting into a fight with them. And they the community members were a little bit abusive, and they didn't know how to handle it, because we were technically still the landlords. And this is something where they reached out and said, like, look, this is something which is not healthy. We need to solve this problem, else like the community might break apart. And so we stepped in, mediated, and then made sure that there's an agreement.
Okay, very cool. So again, that was the first real estate project. And again, you were there for a few years. You then handed this across to an autonomous sort of like approach for them, sort of like organizing themselves. And then what did you go and do then next?
So after that, I didn't want to stay in a real estate for my entire life, and I got introduced to a friend of mine, my second co-founder, and we then said, like, hey, I got introduced to the world of Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so what we then there is we said, like, and this is where I actually said, like, wait a second, this is such a cool technology. And wouldn't it be nice to actually enable participation in real estate for a larger audience, and not only allow it for the people who are able to raise a lot of money? And so we went into real estate tokenization, pivoted to real estate fund tokenization, private equity fund tokenization, private debt tokenization. And so I did this for about 7 years. Also tokenized the first real estate in Europe, according to the Financial Times. We've also worked with governments like Luxembourg and Germany to implement new laws to allow tokenization to happen. So we've done a lot of groundwork there. And then just 2 years ago, we sold the startup to one of our clients.
Okay, very, very cool. Very, very cool. I guess it's like the real world assets is all a bit of a craze right now, but I mean, you were doing it for 7 years, 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was a little bit early to the game, right? Like one of our competitors, Securitize, was in the US, was doing it there. They had a little bit of more traction on the user acquisition. I think the American institutions are a little bit more have a little bit of a higher risk appetite to actually go and test out new technologies, while the Europeans were like really a little bit more reluctant to using crypto rails for real estate and real estate fund tokenizations. I think, although they were quicker to implementing the rules, right? So it's like just the different kind of a cultural phenomenon. But now it's actually, I think, It's happening. RWAs are really starting to get adopted.
No, interesting. Well, again, congratulations in selling that company. And then did you have to do an earn out, or were you immediately just like, okay, what next? How did you what happened after that?
I had a small earn out, and but it's not for too long. And so basically, what I've done is I've moved to Hong Kong because I didn't really experience the Asian culture, or like wasn't able to learn about it. And so what I've decided is like, hey, you know what? China is getting more and more power. Like we can, slap as many sanctions on China and Asian countries as we want. Like this is not going away, right? Like so it is time to actually find out and learn about the culture. And I thought like Hong Kong is a perfect place to do that. Because it's English speaking, so you don't need to learn a new language to actually
Sure.
get comfortable with it. And yeah, it's a nice tap into like learning about it without being like completely fully immersed when you go to mainland China. And so I've spent there for like around 1.5 1 year. And also this was the time when I visited my first pop-up cities actually.
Which was your first one?
It was Edge Esmeralda.
Okay.
Yeah, so I was at Edge Esmeralda. I got invited by a good friend of mine, Elena, and so I was there, and like this is where like the very first time I felt like, wait a second, this is such a cool community
Hmm.
there. This is something which I haven't seen, I haven't experienced for a long time. Actually, the last time I experienced it was like 12 years ago, or like even 14 years ago, when I built my own community. But I went back to Hong Kong just like after this pop up and was hanging out there, and was then. But after 1 month, I was like, yeah, man, like I'm missing this community, right? Like, and but there was Edge is not permanent,
Sure.
so I looked for other pop up cities to go to, and I visited Zoo Village, Georgia.
Sure.
Right, completely different style, and I went there and I've experienced the exact same thing. Right, like goosebumps on my skin. Right, like thinking like to myself is like these are people I really want to hang out with for longer. And but I'm not a nomad, and so I said like like there's no permanent space where I can go where I can experience that. And also these pop-ups were in villages. So, and I'm a city person, right? I need the infrastructure. I need coffee shops. I need restaurants to go to, which are not only limited to three choices.
Sure.
And this was actually the step where I said, like, you know what? Maybe it's time to go back to the roots and build a community, because there is a product market fit of frontier technologies, of people coming together from all the different frontier technologies like AI, crypto, longevity, robotics, and build a community at scale. But this time, not only limited to one location, not only limited to one building, but actually build a network. Like we make it really, really big, right? To have a long lasting impact on the world.
Okay. No, amazing. So immediately thinking multiple locations, multiple permanent locations, replicate this experience that you'd had and that you'd loved at both Esmeralda and Zoo Village. And so you just dive straight in the deep end here, yeah, like this is when Frontier was born. Like it's yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like this is something where I said, like, when we do this, like, it's like I love to do things, like I love to do startups which I actually profit from as well, which is like my problem. So I thought, like, okay, when I do this, I don't want to experience the same thing as I did with my last community, that after like 1 year I'm like, okay, what am I doing here?
sure.
I'm leading like a 35 people hacker house, which is cool for a period of time, but like you also want to you also want to have like, some growth. So
Sure.
basically I called my co-founder and said like, look, I think there's something here, right? We had so much product market fit with our community the last time. We didn't really execute on it on a bigger scale.
Yeah.
Maybe this is an opportunity for us to come in and really do this at scale.
And so how did that start then? What yeah. So that was the beginning of Frontier. And then
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, this was the beginning, and I loved working together with Christian, my co-founder. We have three co-founders, right? CHP or CTO, Christian, and I. And so yeah, we basically said like, hey, you know what? Is it actually feasible, right? Is it feasible to build real communities right now and cities? And we pretty quickly realized that right now is actually the perfect timing to making this happen, because right now our cities are absolutely distressed. Right, real estate, commercial real estate has 20%, 30% vacancy rates around the world in big cities. Right, San Francisco is 30%. New York has 20%. Hong Kong has 20% of vacancy rates. So right now is the time to actually go in and be able to buy these distressed real estate and transform our cities. Because like if we don't do this now, we will lock in the same structure of cities which we have until now. So basically a little bit of living and a lot of office space which is rented out to like big corporations. In my opinion, like when we succeed, we will be able to reinvent cities to make it more habitable for communities, right? Because we are all humans. We need these connections, and right now also with the rise of AI, like company sizes shrink, like people are working more from home, and they are missing the real connections. So creating a place within cities for communities together and have a real physical space, which is not being taken away from them because of the landlord thinks that they are not paying enough rent and renting it out to somebody else, is the key where we can really change cities forever.
So you started looking for distressed real estate, and did you just immediately know you were going to look in San Francisco, or how did you end up, I guess, buying the first Frontier Tower?
Yeah, I mean, like I promised myself after the experience with my last startup that that Europe didn't act on a super nice technology as fast as the US did. I promised myself like, hey, the next startup will be definitely in San Francisco if it's possible. And also there were already a lot of communities which were around AI, which were around longevity, biotech, Ethereum, robotics, neurotech. And so I thought like if we do something like that, it would be perfect to start it where we don't need to build things from scratch, where we are able to offer existing communities a place to come in and take over one floor and just do their thing there.
Okay, super interesting. And you were, I mean, there's loads of detail there, right? So again, so you identified, again, you have bought this building basically, right, in like the worst place in San Francisco, right? You've gone to the extreme of what this sort of like is, right? You've gone for the ultra distressed sort of like asset at the absolute trough of sort of like San Francisco downtown, sort of like whatever. And it's, I mean, I mean, again, I think someone was, Vitalik mentioned on stage, right? Just like how well you timed the acquisition of the site that you kind of like made, right? Because San Francisco has been going up for a period of cleanup already over the last year. But so like, were there a bunch of sites you were choosing between, or was it just this one that was kind of like very obvious? How did that go, and how did opening, and because it's been a raving success basically, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we started with, zero citizens, how we call them,
Yep.
and in April 1st, and we are now within 6 months we're able to have 450 paying citizens in the tower, right? And actually 45% of them chose to do the yearly membership instead of the monthly. So it's going great. Like it was a full success. And I think what yes, the location is it's San Francisco, so you have there's San Francisco will not be cleaned up from within a day, but the mayor is actually doing fantastic work. We are just on Market Street, so this is something which, like, if San Francisco comes back, like, Market Street needs to be like living and breathing and like being representative to also tourists which are coming there. And we have strong belief that San Francisco is going nowhere, right? It's like 20% of the capital VC capital worldwide is being invested in San Francisco or Silicon Valley, right? We have such smart people there. It's absolutely incredible. Every time I'm in the tower and I'm talking to new citizens who have just joined, I'm just blown away. Like, you have the best conversation there, which you can have. You haven't been there yet, right? You need to.
Sorry.
You need to come over.
But I've seen lots of videos, and I know that to people that have been there, right? Who are these 450 people, and like why have they become citizens? Talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I mean, like we are a hub for all frontier technologies and arts and music, right? So we have 8 theme floors, or actually 10 theme floors, frontier technologies as well, but we have also the human side represented as well. So we have one human flourishing floor where you have like a sauna. We have like meditation mats. We have I don't know how it's called, but where you like lay down and the ground is vibrating with music which you're listening to, and it's like such a deeply relaxing a way of listening to music and kicking back. Also, we have like a full gym floor which is currently being built out. We have the arts and music floor which has concerts and art being presented. We have we have the robo fight clubs.
Yeah, I
like
like that as well.
Yeah, like the thing which went viral on Twitter, right? Like people just and there's such a dense amount of ideas.
Yep.
And it is so easy to execute them. Look at like UFB with Xenia and Vitali who are leading it. They are actually the floor leads of the robotics floor. And they were thinking about this idea for a while, but just because Frontier Tower was there and the space is free for them to use, they were able to host the very first RoboFight club, humanoid RoboFight club, in the Frontier Tower, right? And so just give these talented people the ability to not have like such big hurdles, and you will have like the best startups being formed there, which you can imagine. So right now, when you are newly coming to San Francisco and you are a founder, there's no way around us, right? Like, you need to come to get the contact to VCs. You need to come to get the contacts to fellow founders, to get connected, to exchange ideas, to bring your product forward.
There's no living in the tower as it stands right now. I mean, I've definitely seen some bedrooms in there as well, actually. But yeah. So sorry, we can scrap that. It doesn't have the permits for living, I'm assuming. No, or are you allowed to? Are people allowed to sleep in front of?
No, I mean, like, look, it's a pure office building. We don't allow overnight stays there. We were also in the process of converting some of the floors into co-living, because we believe that co-living is an existential part in creating a self-governed vertical village for frontier technologies and arts and music, which is, by the way, our title of how we call it. And so we were in contact with the city to actually get this approved. But while waiting, we were like, okay, you know what? We need it right now, right? Like, we have so much traction. We need to make sure that we have living space. So we went out and actually saw that there was a hotel for sale. So we, as of now, and this is like the first time I'm publicly announcing it, as we have now taken ownership of a hotel in San Francisco in Nob Hill, right? A very nice area, which with around 120 rooms, which was used as student housing before, for around 240 people. So this is something which will complement the daytime vertical village with a nighttime option as well, if people want to. And basically, this is something which I'm really excited about.
Did you like literally just close that like the last couple of days?
We closed it like 2 days ago. So,
Yeah, incredible. Good for you, right? So that's Nob Hill Market Street, so it's not far, right? It's like a 15-minute walk or something.
It's a 15-minute walk. Yeah, it's Nob Hill is great. Like there's a Trader Joe's around the corner. It's a nice living area.
Yeah. Nice at the market, isn't it? Right, as well. But that's amazing, right? So now you've got. I mean, there's a lot there. I'd love to dive into more because your strategy of recruiting these floor leads, giving them this free space,
Right.
basically has allowed you to go from 0 to 450 paid members in a matter of months.
Yeah.
Have like full occupancy of your building.
Yeah.
Be, break even and be able to start looking for more stuff, right? I mean, do you want to talk a little bit more about that sort of like strategy and what worked there? Because it clearly worked well.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, this is something which was a wild experiment. Like we asked also other people in our communities, like, how should we do it? And everybody's like, hey, don't open all 16 floors at one time. Just like put up one floor, make it cool, and then like extend slowly. And we were like, no, like this is not how we want it. This is not scalable, right? Like if we want to make this a worldwide network society, we need to find a model where we can capitalize on the ability to go into cities and like get 10 towers by the end of next year and 100 towers thereafter. So we need to find a model which is as scalable to build physical locations as it is to scale tech, right? And so what we've done is we've said like, okay, you know what? We see ourselves as a blank canvas, right? And there are so many great community leads which are already in the city. And not only in San Francisco, they are in New York, they are in Hong Kong. You just need to identify them. And they have one problem, right? They have a great community, they are a community lead. But now when they want to have physical space, the community lead needs to basically sign a lease for a couple of years, right? Pay down like some deposit, get credit checks. And what happens if like he or she doesn't want to leave or that doesn't want to continue for after 1 year? They're basically stuck in this thing on the personal ground because there's mostly no company behind it. So what we've done is we said like, hey, community leads, right? We have Elliot, which has a great biotech community, right? We have Ming, who has like a human flourishing community. We have Lawrence, who has like this longevity community. Vitaly Senya with the robotics, and like lots of other communities as well who are there. And so we said like let's give them one floor for entire free, and then let them also participate in the revenue which we are generating. So 20% of the revenue which we are generating is actually going towards the floor leads, and because they get the space for free. When the members citizens come, they will also get basically a revenue participation.
It's super interesting. I think there's something very interesting in that, right? And again, that strategy allowed you to basically to fill the tower very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's like we are not responsible for all of these floors. We just give the responsibilities to the floor leads. They are happy because they have like an entire space for free, which normally would.
Will you give them a budget for fit out of those floors as well?
Yes, yeah. We gave them a budget as well, and in the beginning it was small. I think for one learning is that going forward for new towers, I think the budget needs to be a little bit bigger. But they have done tremendous work, right? And filled the spaces up so quickly, and it also allows you to really identify which of the floor models actually work and which ones don't, right? So when a model doesn't work, then you just look on other floors. It's like, how were they able to attract new citizens, right? So it's to the floor, and so you can learn from each other. So it's basically, it's not like one top down. It's basically a grassroots approach.
That's so interesting. Okay, you said we're now at 2 towers. Congratulations. 10 by the end of next year and 100 by the end of the year after.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about what that looks like. Where are these towers going? How are you going to build it to 100? Yeah, please.
Yeah, I think like why this crazy amount, like a crazy pace, is out of the reason that right now real estate is cheap.
Yep.
Right. In a time where real estate is not distressed, like we will not be able to scale.
Yep.
Right. So we need to achieve crazy scalability within the next 2, 3, 4 years, because this is our time frame. After that, like probably it will be over.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so,
because you bought all the bloody towers and there's nothing left, right?
yeah, because like, people are innovative, and they will find ways to use the use the empty space in different ways. And when you want to create something completely new, then this is right now is the time. And so what we have now decided is that we are looking for tower leads in the different places where we want to go. So we already are in discussions with tower leads in LA, in New York, in Buenos Aires, in London, in Hong Kong, even one in mainland China, which is pretty interesting. And the discussions are going on. Like some partnership announcements will be coming soon. And we are on it to actually take this blueprint which we've been built in San Francisco and adopt it into different jurisdictions.
And what's the model again? Are you potentially even franchising it to some of these like tower leads, or is this like always you're going to buy, to own, and then just to put like a GM effectively in on top of this? Like, what's the approach?
So I strongly believe that we need the tower leads to be more or less independent and also incentivized, right? So we have all of the revenue which comes in from the memberships goes 50% to the tower owners, right? So there's a model of like, okay, we own it as well, but there's also a model where existing tower owners will say like, hey, I want to be part of it, and you can I'll basically do a profit participation with you, a profit share. So 50% of the revenue would go then to the real estate owner. 20% of the revenue goes to the floor lead, 10% goes to the tower lead, and 20% stays with Frontier Tower to basically creates the network between the towers and make sure that new towers are pushed forward.
Yep.
And that the grants, the representative, the federal level of it more or less is pushed as well, and the network works.
Fine, again, so Frontier gets the 20%, and then if you own the towers as well, you would get part of the profit participation, 50% on that as well.
Exactly.
Fine.
Yeah.
And then are you raising a bunch of equity, a bunch of debt to take out these what's the plan financially, I guess, to go out there and occupy all of this real estate?
Yeah, so basically we have we are raising with 2 entities. One is the real estate arm, right? So for everybody who wants to invest in traditional real estate and have the downside protection of real estate, but have the upside of a potentially like exploding network society, which is like leasing the space from the real estate owners. And then we are raising as well with the operating company, with Frontier Tower, basically, which is it's a typical tech startup where we want to we were exploring ways to create a DAO and make it self-governed. As our first community was self-governed, which we created, we want to also make sure that the community which we create is not something which, when we go away for some reason, that everything falls down. That we are creating something which is there for the next decades and maybe centuries to come, and be able to do that. So this is where we are raising right now. But right now we are still basically in an angel round where we limit ticket sizes to a certain amount. So we don't have like one big investor, but basically allow the community to come in with also small ticket sizes.
Very interesting. I get that. And that operating company, is it getting upside from the real estate play kind of as well?
No.
So completely separate.
We want it to be completely separate, because there will be like a time where we will be raising from VCs. It's not right now, but it will be. And VCs don't want to invest in real estate, right? They want to invest in the explosive potential of tech, and some of the VCs are even are not able to invest in real estate because the LPs restrict them from doing that, right? So there is a necessity to basically keep them completely separate.
But isn't the IP that you're generating in that operating company, like, isn't part of the genius of the space that you take distressed real estate and you make it valuable, right? And won't those VCs want to own the upside of that, that regeneration that you're creating? I'm assuming you can go, what I don't know if you're public about it, right? But again, some of these, if there's an empty commercial building and you're getting it and you're filling it, turning it into a profitable entity, I mean, that's like a dramatic change in valuation, like immediately. You're creating a model just, right, of like making a lot of money in the real estate. Do they not want to own that as well?
Yeah. No. The easy answer is no, right? Like, when our idea of actually transforming the ownership into a DAO, then we will also negotiate. Then this is not on VCs anymore, and then potentially the community wants to also own the places where they operate and live and work and whatever. And so we will be negotiating more or less a buying option of it as well. So imagine, we are super successful. We are hitting 1 million, 5 million, 10 million citizens. And then we were like, okay, and have lots of capital to invest. And then we're like, okay, you know what? We actually want to own the real estate. So basically combining these two models into one. Then with the treasury, you could then go out and say like, okay, we are executing on the buying option for a predetermined price, and bring this real estate into the ownership of the community. But this is something which we still need to discuss with our lawyers, and it's like not something which is thought out to the end.
Yeah. They're just seeing that part of what the business we're in is we have a very valuable community, and we can go to places and we can make those places valuable because we are there.
Yeah.
And just like capturing that upside. It's one of the difficulties here, right? Is that we're turning here in Forest City, right, $15 billion of basically distressed real estate into realized value, but we don't capture any of that upside, unfortunately, But I think we're building a model here that you can go elsewhere, and then you can negotiate and you can capture the $15 billion that you've created in a year of catalyzing the regeneration of an entire city, right?
Absolutely. I mean, like, look, if there are investors which are not restricted by the investment limits of investing in real estate, you can always invest into both.
Yep.
Right. And say like, okay, like I'm investing into the operating company, like in the startup and Frontier Tower, but I'm also investing in the real estate part.
Fine. Okay, second tower. When's the third one going to be?
So I hope in Q1.
Yeah.
So this is something which we are really working on, and hopefully there will be some announcements soon.
And so you're looking, some ideally for you, people are coming to you with distressed real estates or, tower leads that want to kind of like work with you and maybe like, yeah, run one of these in some sort of, these are the ideal people to kind of like reach out to you and start having conversations?
Yeah, absolutely. Like we what we need to see is like we need to have like a dedicated tower lead who is connected also to community leads, which will run the individual floors. And then of course we are looking for real estate owners or people who are willing to sell their tower in the cities which we are looking on. And then we're also looking for people who want to collaborate and help us to grow this, because like this is a community thing, right? Like as we did with implementing a tower lead with Xeno currently in San Francisco, and having the floor leads. Like we are dependent on like great people who believe in the vision and who want to help us out. Yeah, so we work as a classic, top-down thing, right? It's like there's Adam Newman at the top, and he decides like, I don't like this kind of cup. That's why I'm changing all cups to be green from now on, right? Because I love green. And what we are doing is more or less we are providing a platform for communities to flourish. And so it's a self-governing perspective, right? Like we strongly believe in decentralization, and censorship resistance, in the values which Ethereum actually taught us. And this is something which is the first difference. Second of all, like WeWork is a co-working space. What we are is like a network society of vertical villages for frontier technologies in arts and music. So within our towers, you not only have the ability to co-work, but co-live. You are able to go to a restaurant, have a robo barista doing your coffee, right? Like do meditation, have a full blown gym. You have like a real village. You remember when we were talking about the pop-up cities and they were like in a village, and like the community was really interactive and working together a lot. Like this kind of environment which we saw in these pop-up cities, what we are trying to do is to create this within a vertical village, which it has the ability to like also go and take use of the infrastructure which a city provides you, but also like be within it coherent and autonomous. So we don't need the outside world to actually exist, right? This is something which I strongly believe in, and I think this is something which we can achieve, especially if we have multiple nodes of that around the world, and we can basically trade with between us as well.
No, super interesting. I love it. I do need to come. Optimistic to see that this should be a lot easier, right? If you're opening 100 within 2 years, I'll bump into them at this point, right? So like, it'll be great. But look, thank you so much for coming and talk, and like, best of luck. Congratulations in the first tower. And yeah, I would love to see you do this. So
yeah,
good stuff, Joe.
Let's meet in San Francisco the next time. Pleasure. Thank you very much.
The last years New Zealand's going in not the best direction. A lot of virtue signaling and not a lot of like economic activity. And when I came to Zuzulu in Montenegro, it was like, oh, okay, this is what it feels like to find your people.
Working for a bank is a terrible place to figure out how fintech works.
People who are partners in VC funds are not always the right people to be making decisions. Zuzulu is kind of like group therapy for people on the spectrum. The principle is technology is good, we should accelerate it, but we should do it in a way where it's safe and where we don't end up as NPCs. And my experiences with decentralized projects have not always been good. Silicon Valley is like move fast and break things, and Switzerland is move fast and try not to break things.